Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as hate, medical, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way, 7 days a week on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. Somewhere out there, it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and still time to call your friends. We'll be right back.
The missing dimension in world politics is the spiritual dimension. The problems of life cannot be solved by material means. Modern civilization is missing the point of life. Human life is meant for understanding spiritual values. Real knowledge is knowing yourself, what you are, what God is, and understanding your relationship and duty to God. It is our duty to understand God, abide by His laws, and learn to love Him. Then all of our problems will be solved. When men are not governed by God, they will be ruled by tyrants. The material world is just like a prison. The spirit soul is imprisoned in a material body which is imprisoned in the material world. We do not belong in this material world. We are spirit souls and belong to the spiritual world. Modern civilization is wrongly directed to the fulfillment of sense gratification, the basis of material life and a barrier to spiritual realization. The demonic believe that the enjoyment of the senses is the ultimate goal of life. However, it is not possible to become peaceful and happy in the attempt to gratify the temporary senses. The result is usually the opposite. A materialistic culture based on sense gratification agitates the mind and senses. Unless one controls the mind and senses, one cannot make any spiritual advancement. The great sages of all bona fide religions were completely free of material attachments because they knew that spirit is permanent while matter is temporary. Our present culture would have us debase ourselves and become more and more entangled in materialism so that the path to the spiritual world is blocked. The demonic wish to make this planet a closed system where it cannot function for the purpose it was intended. The material world was created to give man the opportunity to purify himself of his material consciousness, for the aim of life is to go back home, back to God. The demonic cannot go back home until they rid themselves of their demonic mentality, and so they wish to make it impossible for anyone else to return home. This is the ultimate goal of psychological warfare, to entangle man in materialism so that he cannot return home back to the Supreme Lord. Mind control in America. Break it.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Forbidden History Live, the series on Ask Dezert-Owl with NinjaCat and the Original Thought Transliteration Project. I'm your host, Desert, and want to welcome you to a very small family. You know, it says that many seek to enter in, but very few will be saved, ladies and gentlemen, and very few, therefore, want to work. It's a walk and it's a work. And good to have you back, Lynn, our engineer, and over there somewhere between Maryland and Pennsylvania, toughing it out herself, and had a phone issue. Now she's back. So good to have you. We missed you, Lynn, and she knows stuff. I got to tell you, she's always right there with me, and even ahead of me on a lot of this deep stuff. So, so some people have done the legwork, you know, ladies and gentlemen, but most don't. They want to go for 45 minutes on a Sunday somewhere and get their feel-good fix and their dopamine, and then they can go for the rest of the week and be dopes. Because if one, the first maxim is you have to hate this world. You have to hate this world for what it what it is. And what it is not pretty, as we know, ladies and gentlemen, the things that are unfolding right now as well. But I have my notes here, so we'll just go in line. This program is going to be a special presentation on the hidden nature of Judaism. I have the book that I've been reading from for the last three programs, the Isat Nasser, or Isat Nassar, the story of the life of Yeshua, the NAYLZARAY. And this is from the 1800s. And these people were at the right place at the right time, an entire family, 3 of them, put this book together, 750 pages. And so I'm going to read a sample of one of the chapters in there because it defines the real nature of Judaism. And then I'm going to go back into the appendix. There's so much I've discovered thanks to them. I now know where the word God comes from. Was I just attributed it to the Vatican because in Babel it was El, but then El ultimately becomes God, and it's a generic term. At one point they're using it for Islam, then they decided to change that, and use not the code word, but call, him Allah or her Allah. And then, the word God is transformed when he gets into Scandinavia and becomes gut, so your God is your gut. You got to feed your God a little bit more pizza and whatever else feels good, And so, so the game has been played on us on every level. And so this is this book right here. After the scriptures, if you could only have one other book, then this would be the book to get, because it is scripture in the sense that it tells the entire narrative, bigger than any of the other gospels, but in a narrative form. Like, in other words, not the way a scripture is typically written, by verse, but by like it's a what do I want to say, a novel, like it's a novel, but it's a real story. It's all true. It's all the facts, and it's all the facts that we're not aware of. And this is the only book, because I know all my life I've been reading this stuff. This is the only book that really gets you back there. You are there, and you know exactly how these priests are operating. Their colors, the colors of what they bring forth, and that's what we're going to read. And so you can really see it for yourself. There is no better book. This is one to get. We got it on PDF, by the way, and I didn't get it up yet. I'll show you when we come back from the break. I'll show you. We have a new platform where we're going to make all of our PDFs available. I got 400 books on PDF, all rare books, and the important ones, dictionaries, like 60 dictionaries, more than half of them are law dictionaries, I think, or they're about half. So I've got a lot, that I'm trying to make available to help people on their journey. I did all the research, all the legwork. All you got to do is download it now. So we'll share that with you on the other side. So the hidden nature of Judaism for this program, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, every Saturday, we just had him last night. He was a little late, I think, because of the major issue that was happening in the Big Island. Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. If you go to his YouTube channel, Dane Wigington, D-A-N-E, his first name, Wigington, W-I-G-I-N-G-T-O-N. That's his YouTube channel, Dane Wigington. And his opener is on the situation, that happened in the Big Island, ladies and gentlemen. So so you need to go there and hear, and thank you for the visual on that, Ninja. Okay, so yeah, so Dane, don't forget geoengineeringwatch.org, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it's a real tragedy what is happening in our world. And I have a friend out in the islands, and I'm saying it that way for a reason, you might guess, that send me back an email. And I've known Doug for over, a decade and a half, and he's always sending me good information. He's a law researcher, but he got this. He said this was just sent from a born and raised friend from the island, just reported from a whistleblower. What you're not hearing from our local government. I just got out of a meeting where I was informed by someone in the mayor's office about the developments that are being kept from the public. I am not a theorist, and I don't want to make trouble, but here is what I've heard. The amount of falsities is expected to be more. Oh, excuse me. I'm caught up in the false nature of the beast, but I read it wrong. The amount of fatalities is expected to be more than 500, but less than 1,000. Many of the fatalities will be children who were at home because they canceled school that day. Parents worked and were not there to evacuate the little ones. And they pegged that day especially, to give them off. It's rather interesting. Kids have no idea they needed the kids had no idea they needed to leave, and by the time they noticed their homes or apartments were on fire, it was too late. The government is worried about how we will react. Well, they should have been worried about the event, but instead they're now worried about how people will react when they learn that the fire department left the fire earlier in the day and claimed it was 100% contained, knowing that the winds were expected to be 70 miles per hour by the afternoon. This is against all fire control protocols, naturally, especially in that environment. The fire department should not have left the original fire unattended. They are scared that the public calls for accountability will be more than they can control, and protests and riots will occur. They plan to lock down that town, which, by the way, I'll tell you the nature of that town when we get to the bottom here. They plan to lock down the town for several months. It will take months to clean up the hazardous and environmental contamination. They won't have enough housing for all the displaced. There were 2,000 unaccounted for this morning. That was about 36 hours ago, I guess. They have a list where they are trying to keep track. They found 700 today, but there's still 1,300 people missing. 1,300 people missing. They are very worried that a community is going to freak out when they find out how not a single fire truck responded to the fires. The emergency sirens were not activated. Whoa. And a loss of life could have been kept down by better emergency management, which they failed. I thought they were supposed to be there for the emergencies, right? Those were the hurricane sirens he's referring to, by the way, for the emergency. I'm not trying to make waves or to stir up problems, but I was so angry and sad when I found out how many children are dead that I knew I had to post this and let everyone know what I have learned. It is time for our officials to stand up. They're not very official, unfortunately. Tell the truth and face the music. They failed this time for these people. Our government, it's not our government. You got to know that. Our government is full of incompetent nepotism. The fire chief is the son of the former fire chief. Go figure. We need to hold officials accountable for the mistakes they have made. Please don't hate the messenger. I'm just relaying what I learned today. God bless the people of the islands and pray for all the victims. And then my note here is, it turns out that the town that burned down is the original capital of the first native peoples of the islands. So just like they did here in the mainland with all the native peoples, right? Genocide, smallpox, blankets laced with smallpox, to just outright gun slaughter in the Colorados when they were told that you're our people now. Then they come marching on them with the cavalry and shoot them all dead, men, women, and children, everyone. Nobody survives. And so go figure. Just about 4 years ago, it was paradise, right? PSYOPs, all tested all their new technologies. Paradise, and then we got a movie made about East Palestine. Listen to the words: paradise, Palestine, and then now we have the capital of the First Nation people. Doesn't it sound rather telling to see what these ground zero points are called, ladies and gentlemen? You see, so you got to put two and two together, and this is just really the the pilot program for the bigger one, because when they ran in the final scenario, they will be doing it globally in mass, and nothing will be standing. When it's all over, nothing will be standing. So take it for what it's worth, and that's why we do have good news on this program. The good news is it's not our world, and so we're going to go to a song, and when we get back, we'll talk about that, how we can make it out of here alive, because we have to rise from this death in order to live, ladies and gentlemen, because the world is dead, and they want to keep it that way. And so stand by for the broadcast. We'll be right back after a quick break with a little bit more of what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Still time to call your friends.
There's a sunny little country south of Mexico, where the winds are gentle and the waters flow, but breezes aren't the only things that blow in El Salvador. If you took the little lady for a moonlight drive, odds are still good you'd come back alive, but everyone is innocent until they arrive in El Salvador. The rebels take a bus on the Grand Highway, the government destroys a village miles away. The man on the radio says now we'll play south of the border, and in the morning the natives say we're happy you have lived another day. Last night 1,000 more passed away in El Salvador. There's a television crew here from ABC, filming Rio Limpa and the refugees, calling murdered children the tragedy of El Salvador. Before the government camera 20 feet away, another man is asking for continued aid, food and medicine and hand grenades for El Salvador. There's a thump, a rumble and the buildings sway, a soldier fires the acid spray, the public address system starts to play south of the border. You run for cover and hide your eyes, you hear the screams from paradise. They fall in further than you realize in El Salvador. La 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 la. Well, just like Poland is protected by her Russian friends, the junta is assisted by Americans. And if $60 million seems too much to spend in El Salvador, they say for $500 million they could do it right. Bomb all day and burn all night, until there's not a living thing upright in El Salvador. They'll continue training troops in the USA and watch the nuns that got away, and teach their military bands to play south of the border, and kill the people to set them free, who put this price on their liberty. Don't you think it's time to leave El Salvador?
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ninja, go to that special break real quick, okay? I've got to do something. Thank you. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the broadcast. And, I dedicated, let's see, if I started my research in political activism about 1990, I've got 33 years of attempting to wake people up and to share with them the things that we now see happening, that we knew they were coming, like Project Blue Beam and the real nature of the criminal cartel. There is no new world order. It's a one world order. Okay. Anthea, good to have you. And we're in difficult times, ladies and gentlemen, because it's the final hour. It's the showdown now that we're about to witness. I never thought I'd make it here when so many great researchers, political activists, friends that I had back in the 1990s, and then the last 2 decades, that were imprisoned or shot on the side of the road or given an injection that gave them cancer and poisoned them. I never thought I'd get past the 2001 mark, and yet here I am, 2023, and it's the only solace in it is I've always said to people, I'm not saying that we can change anything, but the fact that I want to know the truth. Then I'll okay, give me the truth, and then I'll learn how to deal with it. But I feel really sorry for all the people, all in the community, all around me here. Other than the secret ones, those secret handshake group, they know what's going on. But then the other people, the innocent people, the moms and dads and the little boys and girls, all of them have no idea they're about to witness the greatest mass starvation in the history of the planet. And they're not prepared for it psychologically, physically, nor emotionally for what they're going to be confronted with. And they'll all be turning on you. They'll be turning on each other out of frustration and fear and starvation. If, of course, the grand show with the phony, outer space UFO program, which is all Earth-based, with their energy particle beams, burning up every house and every building in every community worldwide, while they got their 3 billion rounds of hollow point ammunition with Homeland Security. Oh, based out of Toronto. That's interesting. A supposed U.S. agency based out of Toronto, Canada, right? Go figure. So yeah, they've got it all worked out. They got it all worked out. It's this right now. We're in the pilot program. They're testing the metal. They're testing everything. And so the good news, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is not our world, and that there's a greater world. In this duality, this is the easiest way to see it. The fact, right? We're in a world of duality. So we got light and darkness, we got hot and cold, we got male, female, we got up and down, we got in and out. We've got the polarities, the kymatica that brings forth creation. So therefore, as this is a duality, there is a lower world and there is a higher world. Can you see it? It's so simple. Just, for those who could logically see it, because I see it on a deeper level, because I've been touched by the Great Spirit all my life, and had dreams and visions all my life, had my life saved many times over, possibly a dozen times. I've lost count in the extreme situations because I'm an extremist, and I've been in extreme situations, because of being a political activist. Had only about 6 attempts on my life just by automobile. First time I was targeted by 3 cars, ended up in a ditch, and from that point on, I started watching where I go. And the other times they didn't get me, but they got me the first time. So, and I can go on. I didn't mean to really go here, but they're putting my other note I missed that I'll follow up on now is one I saw today down in the side margin. There's an opening scene with the guy who played the Bourne Experience. can't remember his name. Oh, Matt Damon. It's got it right there. You know, he's in this movie that's come out. I noticed there's this big thing going on now with Oppenheimer, right? Oppenheimer, who invented the atomic bomb, the chief scientist out of Alamosa, New Mexico, and so they're playing Oppenheimer. Well, okay. So now they're talking atomic devastation, right? They're talking devastation. Get the picture. So what's the deal with Oppenheimer? He became the scapegoat. They then demonized him and said he was a communist. Well, they're all communists. Come on. That's a good one, isn't it? When they're all communists, right? And but anyway, so yeah, he took the fall. But here's the deal. I had made the acquaintance by doing a Google search and made the acquaintance of a guy. I can't remember his name now. But he walked away from, like Wall Street. He had big money and he put it all into exposing the corruption once he saw it. And so he did a classic on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. On a DVD, and he went there to Japan. He went to the memorials. He did all that, and he was big on exposing the skull and bones, which he correctly called them by their correct name, which is not skull and bones. Skull means to steer, by the way. So they're steering out of Yale. They got the keys. They got the key for the lock at Yale. They are steering. Skull means steer, to make sure that we go in the direction they want us to go in, controlling all key political positions, right? The politicians, the chief justices, the publishers of Time magazine, Life magazine, all skull and bones. And so, but he calls them correctly the Brotherhood of Death, and that's why they got the skull. You see, and so he pointed out in his documentary that when they, first of all, I knew, thanks to who I used to interview. The Vatican assassins guy. Oh, come on, Desert. Maybe I'll think of it in a moment. But he wrote the book Vatican Assassins Exposed the Jesuits, and he pointed out that, and Ralph Epperson also corroborates some of this stuff as well, who I used to interview, that you can't drop an atomic bomb from an airplane. That's a ruse. Remember, war is deception, and that they literally, the Jesuits, the Jewish Jesuits on the ground, had pre-positioned the atomic devices on the ground where they wanted them, and then they went underground and they got all their friends and whoever underground with them that they wanted to save, and then they what's dropped out of the airplanes is a flare bomb. So the flare bomb goes off, but then the atomic bomb goes off on the bottom, pre-positioned, because they're a highly sensitive device. Even the sun, it has to happen at a certain time with the connection with the sun. It's so sensitive. So that's atomic, right? There's your atomic. The sun is the symbol of an atom, right? And so anyway, so did the United States Corporation, Skull and Bones, Brotherhood of Death, did they bomb strategic locations at Nagasaki and Hiroshima? Did they bomb the shipping terminals? Did they bomb the the facilities that would make weapons factories or anything like that? No. The Brotherhood of Death, as it said in Morals and Dogma, the Masonic Handbook, that there would be 3 world wars. In there, they also talked about in the Third World War, they would destroy all Christianity. Thank you, Freemasons. Wonderful group of people you are. Brotherhood, right? That they would destroy all Christianity by the Third World War, use Islam as a part of it. And so what did they do? Because World War II was over, it was pointed out by Douglas Dietrich. It's either Donald Dietrich or Douglas Dietrich. I get confused. But you can find him, do a search, because he was burning all the top secret documents in the Presidio on the north side of the Golden Gate Bridge in California from all this period. And he took notes because he was a forensics expert. He knew how to take notes, and he got graphics, drew pictures, and then he burned the material. He didn't have a clearance. Had no clearance, so he didn't breach any clearance, because they just grabbed him and said, burn this stuff. So anyway, where was I going here? Okay, so what happened was that the 2 cities that were blown up to end World War II, because what my point was that the World War II was already over, but they wanted to use the bombs since they developed the bombs. And so, oh, by the way, the first test was called Trinity, right? Go figure. They called the first test in New Mexico the Trinity bomb. Oh, Trinity sounds like Matrix, sounds like Scripture, sounds like Father, Son, Spirit. And so what did they bomb? They bombed the only two cultural centers in Japan that were dedicated Christian centers, cities that were dedicated to Christianity, not Buddhism. I mean, there was probably a mix, but I mean, these were the cultural centers for Christianity within Japan, and one of them had the biggest printing facility, published buku books, of Christian literature, Bibles, you name it, and everyone lived in peace with everyone. But the Brotherhood of Death insisted that these bombs be placed in these locations, and it really blew the wind out from Oppenheimer, because he was not in favor of anything like that, but he was demonized. That's probably why they demonized him, because he wasn't part of their brotherhood anymore. And so literally, ladies and gentlemen, they not only did they blow up the Christian communities of Japan from hundreds of years. For hundreds of years they had been there, since like maybe the 1400s, way back. And but also the U.S. military, who were in concentration camps, were right there in these communities, probably because they knew they were going to play that card. So they worked it all out ahead of time, just like they always work everything out ahead of time. And they had a genocide program, a celebration for the end of World War II, by sacrificing hundreds of thousands of Japanese national and Christian people. So that's the story that we never hear, ladies and gentlemen, but you heard it here first. Don't forget it, and do tell a friend. They've been chiseling the numbers off of our program views, so it looks like we've got no viewers. We easily should be over 100 on all of our latest views and in this series, but I've been watching them. Sometimes you catch it and sometimes you don't, but I saw them change it. You'll refresh it and all of a sudden it went from near 70 down into the 50s, right? And so that's how they do it. They just they're like little children. They got very small minds. They're filled with hatred, and they got larceny and murder on their minds, and they can't wait. They can't wait till they can break it all out, and have a little party on you and I, ladies and gentlemen. So we have to forgive them, create light for them. They're sick, but they love darkness. So guess what? They're going to get all the darkness they ever bargained for. And it's actually in the book of Jude, where they're wandering stars and they will drift endlessly through space. That's what it says, literally, right there. I've been saying that, and I forgot those scriptures, and now I even got confirmation of what I was trying to point out, because the hell and damnation thing was all a ruse by the Vatican. They want you to be terrorized into following them, being a good Catholic. You mean a Babylonian? Oh yeah. Okay, so real quick, I just want to do a couple words. Forgive me, I get long-winded, but how can you not get a little emotional about this? Right? What they've just done to innocent boys and girls. I can just imagine them in the home crying for their mommy, while their house is burning down and they can't get out, don't know what to do, couldn't run quick enough, and they don't have a problem with that, that's their game. That's their game. So, and they think they're better than me and you and I, or whatever. All right, let's get back. All right, I breathe deep, Desert, here. Okay, everything's all right. No, it's not. I just real quick, I got in the 1818 dictionary from Edinburgh, Scotland. It's the Jameson Etymological Dictionary from 1818, over 200 years old here. And I looked up man, because that's a key word to look up. And don't you know, it said man is a vassal. Whoa. Yeah, vassal. You see also the word whistle right in there. Hey, whit, whit, woo, woo, come on over here, woo, woo. I can't whistle. So, but come over here, come over here, slave, because vassal means slave, and vassal means whistle. So you're gonna whistle to your dog, hey, Spot, come on over here, come on, Spot, good Spot, run, Spot, And so anyway, there it is. So Anglo-Saxon, Old English, man is criminal and sinner. Babylonian Talmud, man is monster, and in Scottish, man is vassal, slave. How about that, huh? Isn't that just a wonderful trick they played on all of us, ladies and gentlemen? So we got to move away from that. That's the harder thing to do, of course. But men, you don't want to be a man. Women, you don't want to be a woman. You want to be an Aisha Faye. An Aisha Faye, that's the royal eye of the virgin light. And men, Aishan, the royal eyes that come down. We are not of this world. We did not evolve here. Everything else did, but we didn't. We were put here as foreigner, a foreign entity, to have an experience in order to wake up, and in the process then to follow the path back home, the way, the people of the way. Not Christian, because that's an occultic word. When we do words next week, I'm going to go over all these words. And I'm going to show you their occultic nature and what the right term should be. Christian is occultic. We are supposed to be the people of the way. That was what Levi was correctly, Leve, which means the way. Okay? So, very good. Looking at my notes here. Oh, okay, yeah, and another favor they did for us, of course, at who, where to, and they took down our donation button off of my channels, off of Ninja's channel here, took away the donation button. The ministry donation, remember, was in the top right. And so now you have to go to the About page. If you go to the About page and scroll to the very bottom, they got it all the way at the bottom, then you'll see it says donate or something like that, and so click on that. That will open up the PayPal donation button or take you to PayPal, so you could do a donation. Okay, so that's the game they played, ladies and gentlemen, and oh, isn't it fun, to have games? Oh, I love having games played on me. Real quick, I've got words in the column here. So that was man. I'm just going to do a couple words real quick. And look at Lynn. Boy, she's really has a nice green color there. Green for control. That's a good one, Lynn. That's the amber for go, right? Go, and green, and that's the premier color above the 33-degree orange, 33-degree masonry, the bright orange you always see on the news channels, the letting you know, okay, Bubba, we're here now. And yeah, so good to have you, Lynn. And let's see. So the word Naga, if you go up to the top and right below my big 4 paragraphs with some information, then under there you got Naga. And Naga, you see, because I've been failing to acknowledge in all the words that the G is a code for the Zorro or the TZ. But the actual symbol, that third letter of the alphabet, which in Roman time was a G, in our modern it's a C. Back then it was the Zorro, and it was a 0 with the cross, right? So with the 4 directions, and so Naga, which like in the book of Genesis it says, and the serpent was more subtle, but when you look up serpent, it's the Naga. Okay, so what does Naga mean? Oh, it's like your noggin, right? Oh, your Naga. It means the wise serpent. That's what it meant. And so what it really was saying was the wise serpent. Who is that wise serpent? Well, we pointed out here, it is Adam. Then nobody can ever do that because they're stuck on a serpent and think it was a snake. But I don't know anywhere that a snake can talk. And this snake was talking, and he was deceiving Eve, right? Because she was looking pretty good, and he wanted her. So, and by the way, we have something we can do. We can bring forth offspring without numbers, like the stars of heaven. We can create an image of ourselves, become creators like the creator. That was the ego, right? But anyway, so the right term for Naga is Nalzar. There it is. The Ga is the code, as I learned when I was studying the German, and thanks to Chi. Hope he comes back one day. He kind of had other things happen in his life and had to shuffle. But so NAYLZAR. So the na is the now. They abbreviate the words. Remember, we repeat that over and over. They abbreviate the words. So Naga is an abbreviation of Nazar. And what is Nazar? It is the wise serpent star that comes down. He was also known as the bright and shining one. And they had to create a cover story because it's about isn't that what they do? Like with the giants, they get rid of the giant bones, right? They throw them into the Atlantic Ocean. Agent Smith, Smithsonian gets all these giant bones and they throw them into the ocean. You know, they're covering the trail of our history. So naturally, they would want to cover who the Naga really is, and that's why they created a Lucifer. They supplemented the bright and shining one, the one who came down from the light, created by the Yeshua, the sovereign, who made all things, wanted the Naga Adam to name all things prior, to his coming here last as the Aryan race, coming down from the light, the sky gods, sun gods, all those terms. Seed of light is another one. So the serpent, the reason the pharaoh wore cobra on his headdress because it represented the sun. The cobra meaning cobra, bra meaning support, and co for co-support, and therefore it's the Ouroboros, the serpent eating his tail, the sun going around every day. Okay, so so that's just one sample of the words, how they hidden the meaning from us, ladies and gentlemen. But Nazar, the star that came down, and that was Adam. Remember, this is the knowledge that Adam had, was that they could, as he passed it on to his offspring, they had the knowledge to build great pyramid civilizations worldwide and to engineer anti-gravity Vimanas, right? There's nothing new under the sun. The anti-gravity Vimanas have been here for thousands of years. They've always been with us, underground, secret, and getting everyone to think that they come out there from the star of Sirius, but we'll get serious on that when we get back next week on this, because I have some expose for you on these Asia Wars, on these words, where we got God and what that's all about, and the thing with the star of Sirius. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, we got just one more thing I want to share with you, because we're being oppressed, and they took away now our donation button, so nobody will think about it or be inspired to help us out. I got to do a screen share here. Hang on. Screen share. Boom. Boom. And boom. Okay. And so I stumbled on, I think it was me, it could have been Ninja, but I can't remember. Stumbled on an important website to help us out to raise funds. We've been giving away the PDFs on another site, but now we found one where we could ask for a very modest donation, and it's called payloads.com. I thought they should have called it downloads, but they're calling it payloads. They're emphasizing getting paid, but it's for people that can get downloads very affordably, because everything is electronic today. So are we good on the graphic, Ninja? I just want to know.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. All right, so if you look, what I have 400 books on PDF. I got all more rare Bibles than I ever imagined. Going back all the way to Venice, the first printed Bible printed by printing press out of Venice, the banking headquarters of the Ashkenazi Khazars, who were going to then standardize all the other versions in Europe, whether it was the Germanic and the Gutenberg, or whether it was Tyndale, or whether it was the ones that came later, because they used a standardized copy of who was the one who took the Greek and the Hebrew and put it in side by side? Erasmus out of Switzerland, by the way. Okay, so put two and two together. They created the Greek and the Hebrew that everybody used for their translation, and that's why they all look the same, and they're lacking, and they didn't know about the Indo-Germanic, but either, and so it's rather tragic. Nor did they go to the Aramaic, which would have been a more pure line, because it all originated out of the Aramaic culture, which is also Indo-Germanic, by the way. And so anyway, so you can see here, I've started putting up the dictionaries. We got 15 books up there. We got 400, and I'm going to get a rhythm and try to get about 10 a day up. It's going to take us about a month, but then you'll have access to my entire library. I've got about 40 law dictionaries, and then about 40 upwards near 40 other dictionaries. Still finding some. And then I've got beyond the dictionaries, I've got all of these rare books, that are most people have not heard of and relevant to our studies, that into these things that we talk about here, whether it's the grand conspiracy or the other information that's relevant to our natures. And I have Stephen, by the way, I put Stephen Jacobson up here, Wake Up America and Mind Control in America, to support Stephen. He's really ill. I just talked to him the other day, and he's really ill, and it's like he's on his last leg, ladies and gentlemen. And this is everything goes to him. Okay, so if you get Wake Up America and Mind Control in America, then you are supporting the guy who produced it. The payloads only takes out 29 cents from each purchase. So every posting there is just less 29 cents. And then the ministry here gets the rest of it. And Stephen gets his because they give a record of every purchase. So we know what book or what audio was purchased. Okay. And then scrolling down a little more. And so Ninja is putting up the other books from the Original Thought Transliteration Project. So Ninja's doing the black covered books, and I'm doing the other ones that are there. So, okay, so this is a way you can support us. If you go there every day, you'll see a few more books added. If you're looking for something specific, you can tell me, and I'll get it posted there right away. Okay, like I say, I've got the Grand Guhun. It was all in folders. It was like, wow, I got all this stuff, and now I can make it available to everybody so they can benefit. Okay, so thanks for your support, ladies and gentlemen, in that mode, and tell a friend, won't you? Because you may have friends who are law students. They're studying the law, or what have you. And this is a way they can because they may not even know the book exists or what to look for. So here we we put it on the table so you can see some things that you've not seen before. And by the way, the line is open if anybody wanted to call in. Then feel free to call in. Our Skype is FreeAmericaRadio. Don't worry. If I'm reading, I can stop. I can take a call and then pick it back up. Okay, that's Skype is FreeAmericaRadio, all one word, or you can call in on the phone 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. What got me motivated, with getting these payloads up, of course, is with Ninja. She needs a new battery. Her battery is dying in her conveyance, her bicycle. It's an electric bicycle, and so she needs to buy a new one, and that's going to be a good chunk of change. Maybe she's trying to raise $1,000 or so for that. So
about 700.
So this is our answer.
About
700. Thank
about
you.
725 Australian total. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a folding bike, and that she can take it on a bus, and with public transport. And then when you get off the bus, she can then use it to go where she needs to go. Things are a little further away for her now because of her move, but it's certainly beautiful. She's sending beautiful pictures of the waterfront there. And okay, so we're in the book, Isat Nasar, and it's the story of the life of Yeshua, the NAYLZARAY. Okay, so buffering. Okay, it's back. Once the 10 tribes were exiled, they were banished. They were no more. He was done with them. It's over. Boom, kaput. They always want to point at the words "the chosen people," but go look at the words that said, "You're out of here. I'm done with you. It's over. Goodbye." They don't ever want to point to those scriptures. And I think the best one is in Zechariah. Go look in Zechariah. You'll see a good example. What's happening? We're spinning, Ninja. We're spinning. Can you hear me?
It's turned red. I'm just waiting for it to come good. Yep, it's come good. So.
Okay, there. Good deal. All right.
Yep.
So I didn't know if my words were breaking up. Say what page you are on. Okay, Thea. I'm going to be on chapter 8. No, that's what, 10, 11, 12, 13. Chapter 13, page 154. She's got the book. Okay. So where was I going with that? Oh yeah, and so Israel ceased to exist. Okay, no more. 724 BC, and then about 100 years later, 150 years later, give or take, then Judah is banished to Babylon. The temple is destroyed. And okay, you got a question mark there, Thea. I don't know what that means. I already gave the answer. Okay, you got to hang in there. Okay, I think, yeah, that was a delay. That's why she didn't hear that. So when Jutha, correctly, Jutha, no J, Jutha comes back from Babylon, it's not Judah again, it's Babylon. And they come back with the Babylonian Talmud. Okay? And this is why the priesthood had no interest in Yeshua when he comes back, comes down, to save mankind. They're not interested in a Mashiach because they're not really Israel. They're occultists. They're Ashkenazi Assyrians. They are Assyrians. I'm not saying it wasn't a mix. There probably was a mix, of the real tribe of Judah that came back, and Levitical priests that came back. But what's interesting is Ezra got the okay, good there. So Ezra was the one who received the new alphabet. Okay, when he fasted, in that period when he fasted for 21 days, then he was told to eat flowers for another week or whatever, and then he had all these visions. That was the time that the great father Yeshua, gave him the new alphabet. But the new alphabet was going to not be an upgrade from the original Aramaic. It was then going to be used by the sovereign so that we could know who the occultists are, because immediately the occultists took over the new alphabet that they received in Babylon, not in Jerusalem, in Babylon. And so they come back and they now have this very weird looking, what we call Hebrew today, square root script. And so the square root script was going to be used by the sovereign for us as a sign so that we would know who the occultists are. You see, it's not our alphabet. There's nothing to gain from it other than knowing how the game is played. And so in other words, when they were using this square root script called Hebrew at that time in Jerusalem, well, the common people couldn't read it. It was only for the priesthood and the wealthy. Well, that sounds like another version of Latin then. Latin was the mystery religion's secret code. Latin, only, the initiated were speaking it, and that's why in a Latin mass, in the Catholic, nobody knows what the guy's talking about. He's mumbo jumbling all this Latin. How come he don't speak English? It's because they keep you in the dark. They keep you under the spell, their spell, the spelling spell, And so anyway, I just wanted to point that out and help lay a little groundwork for that. And let me take a sip here of my drink. And thank you. Sorry to do that on the mic. I got to get a straw. Maybe that'll work. But I'm trying to pace myself because I know what'll happen. I'll start losing my voice here. Let me get a little more light. But I got to tell you, this is a profound read. This work, like I said, if you only could have one book other than the scriptures themselves, then this would be it, ladies and gentlemen. This would be it, because these people, 100 plus years ago, and they were right in the middle of it all in Jerusalem. They grew up there, and they knew the priesthood, and I mean, they knew all the priesthood. They knew the Catholics, they knew the Islamic, and they knew the Christian priesthood, Protestant priesthood, and the Eastern. They like, wow. And so they were at the right place at the right time. Number of three, family members pulled this together. That's why it's so big. And one probably worked on the story, another one worked in the appendix, and they're all researching, and they found all of these things that have been left out of our scriptures that are relevant, to who we are, where we are, why we are, and when we are, and what are we going to do about it. The first thing we need to do is know about it, right? So that's what we're going to do. Let me just move one of my cards here. And so, yeah, I've been waiting about 2 weeks to do this now. So here we go. So Yeshua, chapter 8, and Yeshua subject to his parents. So the rabbis they basically kidnapped Yeshua and put him in the temple for over a year, actually maybe in 2 years or maybe even a little longer than that. This part of the story we're not privy to, but it has to do the reason they were searching for him at the temple. It's a little different in this story here. And remember, we weren't there, so we only know what we've heard. We only know what we've had repeated over and over through time. And is it possible that, things were a little different? And so the first thing we need to do is hear these things, and then, we can make our own assessment. But we got to leave no stone unturned, and we have to be searching, because it said, he is a rewarder of those who diligently search for him. And and to rightly divide the word, and then you got to add it back up after they've destroyed our words, So the rabbis were formed into a union called Kabarim. This word, Eshavor, originally, derived from the Aramaic kabur, that is information designated the learned or the initiates of the oral and written interpretation of scriptures as rendered by the Judean elders. Here it says Jewish. I don't know if they were trying to pacify their priests, or they're just knew they had to play a little middle ground, but I'm sure they knew that the word Jew did not belong in our scriptures and never was there. I've got to do one more lamp. Okay, for the read. But so right out the gate, you see what it's pointing towards is Talmudism. Right out the gate is pointing to Talmudism. And these guys defined it better than anyone right in this book here, and we're going to find it. It took me a lifetime to learn this stuff, and if I could have only had the book, and I got it right here at the last. Okay, so into this union, anyone might enter. And that's what they were trying to get Yeshua into. They wanted to get him into their club, right? That's what they were trying to do, and it didn't happen. Into this union, anyone might enter. But this union of Kabarim was divided into 3 degrees. And that's the Blue Lodge. You see, the Blue Lodge is 3 degrees. So this is the Blue Lodge today. The Blue Lodge back there is divided into three degrees. The first and the lowest degree, that of the I just want to clarify again. So there's 2 branches of Freemasonry. One is the Blue Lodge, and that's 3 degrees. And then you've got Scottish Rite Freemasonry, and that's 33 degrees. Okay, so there's 2 versions, all under one umbrella. Okay, so right hand, left hand, duality, again, all of that. So but the union of Kabarim was divided into 3 degrees. The first and lowest degree, that of the Farsh, the farsh, sounds like a farce, right? That of the farce, where those who studied the interpretation of the scripture as rendered in the written records of the Talmud and oral teachings of the rabbis. They had rabbis. The second degree consisted of those who were initiated into the Kabbalistic rendering of the same, and these were called B'nai Kali, sons of Kali. That rings a bell for me, Kali, but I can't think of it. These colleagues were very careful to conceal the sacred renderings of the Talmud, the Talmudic interpretation of the scripture, under a peculiarity of language. There you go. Terms, terms of phraseology and symbols. Well, that kind of spells it out, doesn't it? In such a manner that they could study and converse on these mysteries, even in a public assembly, by methods of language understood only by the initiated. In other words, like using the word Torah, right? We're going to read the Torah, and you think they mean the 5 books of Moses when it really means Talmud. That's an example, okay? So let me read that again. These colleagues were very careful to conceal the sacred rendering of the Talmudic interpretation of the scriptures under a peculiarity of language. Sounds like Hebrew. Terms of phraseology and symbols. All symbols are relevant in such a manner that they could study and converse on these mysteries even in a public assembly by methods of language understood only by the initiated. Sounds like secret societies to me. So, because Yeshua said he would bring everything into the light, right? They do nothing in darkness in the pure tradition. So such methods were adapted to conceal the meaning, and that's my point about the priesthood. They weren't looking for a Messiah. They were Assyrians, the Aryans, ASS, Aryans. Thus, let me back up here, wait a minute. Such methods were adapted to conceal the meaning of their doctrines from the mental grasp of the uninitiated around them. Thus, according to their own definition, they kept their pearls of knowledge from the swine, that's you and me, or uninitiated masses until around them who could have trampled them underfoot, and then perchance have turned and destroyed the masters of the secret knowledge. But into the 3rd degree, only such were admitted whose combinative insight rendered it impossible to exclude. It was strictly prohibited under penalty of the Karim, ban, and anathema of the synagogue to reveal the knowledge of the 3rd degree to any except to reliable persons, that's an anagram for serpent, and only to such those physiognomy spoke in their favor. Therefore, they wouldn't want me there then, I guess. Therefore, the initiated also imparted one to the other the knowledge of reliable physiognomy, and lineaments of features. The secrets of this degree were never explained in particulars, but merely by hints in an abstract way. Don't forget, they also have all these secret hand signs, right? The grand hailing sign, the way you hold your feet together to create the compass, in a 90-degree opposing, with your heels tight together and your toes pointing outward, and all that stuff. You'll see them in a crowd, but nobody else will. That picture of the Talmud, ladies and gentlemen, Ninja. And can you put that up real quick? Give them about 15 seconds to absorb the Talmud. Okay, the Talmud says it is not permitted to impart the mysteries of the Torah. You see, it is not permitted. Get this. Now you're going to hear it right here from their own words that the 5 books of Moses is not Torah. Okay, it is not. You know who? Ninja? Oh boy. Okay, come on. Ninja, are you there? Talk to me. We lost it? We lost it? Yeah. Is it still going? Was doing the graphic, it's still red. Okay, well, I just told him if we drop, we'll do part 2. Okay, it's still red. Hang in, standing by. You got better? Okay. So what are we good? Are we back? It's still red. Bet. All right. Well, not staying steady. Yeah, same here. All right, are we good? It stopped spinning. Are we good? Are we good? Ninja. Ninja, I got a question. I got a question. It's green? I hear you. We're green again? I'm gonna call you back on Skype. I'm gonna call you back on Skype. You let people know I'm calling you right back, okay? Okay? Are you there? I'm gonna call you back on Skype.
Okay, guys, I've got weather here, and weather affects my signal apparently. So yeah, Desert's just gonna hang up and call me back on Skype. The signal is green and good to go, and just as I said that, it went red. Anyway, we're going to keep going until it stops us from... Yeah, so anyway, I'm just waiting for Desert to call me back.